Today we come up with ideas for our next project truck and see if there are any usable parts on our donor truck. Hand-me-downs are always cool, especially when it's a truck.
So we've been flipping through these magazines for 2 or 3 hours looking.
It feels like 2 or 3 days,
It
really.
does, it does. Trying to get some ideas for this truck. I mean, okay, so here's a couple, right? We've got speed, size, comfort, kind of hauling stuff. I don't know, there's a lot of different things we can do.
I think we need to find something like a hybrid of all of those combined. You know what I mean? My love for speed, your love for slinging mud and playing in mud holes. A little bit it can do everything with, like an all-purpose vehicle.
Well, a lot of these competitions now are combining all those different elements, so we have to be able to adapt and do all that. So, I don't know, see, I'm looking at all this, right? I've got a lot of inspiration.
Yeah,
there's a lot going on up here and up there. I think we need to take this, and all that, head downstairs to the shop, and maybe actually get some work done.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about right here.
Now we're using up the whole floor today, man. Look at all these toys in
nice.
here. This is cool. Now what we've got in here are a couple examples of real-world applications of some vehicles that guys have and that guys are using, whether it's in competitions or out riding around on the trails or just having fun, showing off. This is the big one right here in the middle. Now this one jumps out at you right away just because of its massiveness, if that's even a word. It's just so big, but I like it.
Yeah, I always like bigger is always better,
right.
In most applications, and we look at this thing, besides the bright yellow paint that jumps out at you, for me, you look underneath the hood here, actually it's almost at eye level, is the V8 underneath it, which could be really cool for the application for the King of the Hammer stuff we're looking to do is because, we're going to get a little bit more power. It's going to be a little bit easier on the motor having 2 more holes over that straight 6. Now, a lot of people don't realize that the V8 actually takes up a little bit less space than, well, considerably less space than the straight 6 because it's shorter. By the time you get the 6 with the intake on and all the other stuff, it's about as wide as well. So that might fit as well because we're going to have a little more room to work with.
King coil shocks all the way around. When you look at the chassis down here, this guy's got a double triangulated 4-link setup. A lot of guys like that. Some guys favor a different kind of 4-link setup. I don't know. We're going to have to look at it and really think, which one's going to work best for us. You love the big 49-inch tires, man. That's cool. Give you a lot of clearance. You can get over or through a lot of stuff. And really, that's the name of the game.
Yeah, but that might be a little bit overkill because I don't see you spinning these things over 100 and some miles an hour. You know what I mean? That's going to kind of drag things down a bit.
You need to expand your vision, my friend, all right? This is a high-dollar rig, though. Don't kid yourself. I mean, this is a big deal right here. A lot of time and a lot of money in this. This whole deal may be a little advanced for what we're going to do. Now, this is a little bit smaller, no less detailed. This is an awesome little trail ride, no doubt. But, if these two are sitting next to each other, you might look at this one first, but this is great, too, when you look at it. I love this little ride.
Now, the details is something you might not see because he's done such a good job at incorporating the powder coat to match the body, and all the work is really, really well done. Now, take an example right here, this Commando windshield. Now, they've replaced the standard CJ, and what's nice about it is it actually makes the windshield not taller, but I guess, yeah, taller, but it drops it down.
Right.
So what you can do is you can have a better line of sight when you're approaching rocks and stuff. And the first people at first glance wouldn't notice it, but that's going to be a significant difference. And that's something we should try and incorporate on our rig.
Absolutely. And the chassis goes all the way around. You look at the 4-link design that they've got on the bottom. And if you look at those bottom links right there, that's that aircraft aluminum right there. So that's going to flex a little bit too. Right. So you get the benefits of the 4-link suspension and some flexibility in those bottom links.
Let's look under the hood.
I know you like this.
That's what I was thinking. It's got a small block V8 underneath the hood, and I think it's a sign that it's definitely something we got to go down the road. I mean, everybody seems to be doing it. It makes a lot of sense because, let's face it, they're pretty inexpensive to do because there's so many parts available, and you know what? It's going to give you good, reliable power as well.
We've seen these cool rides right here. When we come back, we're going to see where we're getting started. It's our own little ground zero.
Yeah, our reality check.
Yeah.
Coming in.
Bring it in. Got it. There we go.
Good?
Yeah, let me get that hook in right there. All right. Welcome back to TruckU. Now here's the new project, and this is where it all begins. Our buddy had this sitting in his barn out in the shed, right? He said, I'm not doing anything with it, so he gave it to us. It's our donor vehicle, if you will. He said, have your way with it, do whatever you guys want to do. And that could be a dangerous thing for him to have said.
Yeah, it's always good to have friends that want to donate stuff to you. You know, we never have enough of them. You know, believe it or not, a few years ago, this was a competitive rock crawler. This started life as a YJ chassis, and the rules were a few years back that it had to be a factory frame. Problem is, people started channeling, changing, twisting those factory frames, so to speak, and it became hard to police. So what now they can do is use a full tube chassis, which opens things up completely in terms of what you can do and what clearances you can have. So this is 60 inches wide, for example. Now today they're 48 inches wide. This on the front of the box frame had all kinds of issues with the bumper where it had to stick out so far past the front tire, which made all kinds of issues for you when you're trying to make clearances going up rocks and stuff. So now the rules have altered a lot and made this thing pretty much obsolete. So rather than recutting and channeling this one, we're just going to start with a new one.
Right, and we're going to build it from the ground up. So, like you said, we have nothing to do with this, which means we're going to sell it, get as much as we can for this. Now, here's the other option right there. We're going to keep a lot of things, keep everything that's good, but we're not quite sure yet what we're going to do with this engine. It's a 4.7 stroker. It runs good. This thing is really all that we would need for this, but Bruno's been itching for an LS1, and he's been wanting to put it in something. So this may be the right project for that. If we can sell this and sell that and get enough money, we can get your LS1 and put it in here. And I know that'll make you very happy.
Yeah, there are some other good parts on this thing too. It's got 35 spline axles, it's got Wilwood brakes, so all this is some good stuff. And rather than pitching it or even trying to sell it, I think we might be better off trying to use some of it as well.
Right. You ready?
Yeah,
ready to get that bolt out?
Hold on. Take a little tension up there.
All right, let me get this up here so we can take a closer look, because earlier today you were talking about the size difference between the straight six and the V8 and the fact that we can actually generate more power from this and take up less room doing it.
Yeah, potentially. You know, you've got the means to do it with 2 extra holes, and size-wise, believe it or not, I mean, if you can see side by side here, this is so much longer. It makes this a lot more compact, easier to fit underneath the hood. Even when we talk about the big rig we've got behind us, there's a lot of stuff that goes on with all the suspension, all the other components you need underneath. You need to have a pretty tight package, and what's great about this is, you know, the V8, obviously the manifold, the valve covers, all that stuff goes up. With the 6, it's actually wider yet because everything sticks out sideways, so potential to make a lot more power, and you can do it really cheaply. I mean, these blocks you pick up from a junkyard, and boom, before you know it, some performance parts, you've got a pretty powerful engine.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. Now, keep in mind, this clearly is not our LS1 that we're going to replace this with. We just wanted to pull this out so that you could get a good example of the size difference. The differences between the two are pretty remarkable. Now it's time to head back over here and extract some more parts and pieces of our creation.
Let's strip this baby down. You can see we got the old rig up in the air and we're doing a little disassembly. Now, first thing like Matt's talking about, the springs and the shocks, they're not going to be used. They're pretty much discarded because it's old technology. All these rigs today up front, they're running something like we've got in the back. We've got the variable rate adjustment, both with dual springs, and you've got the remote canisters for reservoir. So you've got a ton of adjustability. Now, we could do that something like this up front, but really it'd be a lot of work because you're limited to where you can put it, and you really won't get the full effect of that whole spring assembly.
Now let's take a look at one of the weak links on this particular vehicle. Now the weak link wasn't the fault of the guy that built it because he was building within the rules that he had at the time, and it's right down here. And you want to take a look at this track bar. So this is what we're going to look at here for the next couple seconds. Now even when it's sitting on the ground, there's a little bit of an angle to the track bar. We'll work that out with this wrench here. So let's say it's sitting like this. It's got a little bit of an angle, so where it's mounted up over here on this corner, if you got any angle at all, it's pulling everything this direction, right? And you can see that going on right there with the spring. I mean, you see the way that it's pushing up against the frame, and as it goes down even further, as your suspension articulates like that, it pulls it over even more. Now, ideally, when you set the new system up, we're not going to have the frame rail sticking out the front, so that's good. We can have more travel. It's not going to top out here on the frame, and we're going to make it level. Now, you could have it level, or you can even set it up a little bit further that way. So now, as everything gets into the full swing of the suspension, it'll actually push this side out a little bit, then it's even, then it starts. But I mean, you're halfway through the swing before it starts pulling stuff over to this side. So that allows for a lot more travel in the suspension. So that's going to be one definite improvement on the new vehicle.
Yeah, and you know, the springs and shocks will be mounted up higher too, so it'll allow for to get more travel as well, and you don't, like Matt said, you don't have the problem where you've got the chassis getting in the way. I got to catch up with Matt and get this bolt out here and get my spring out of the way. Good time for us to take a break. When we come back, we're going to go ahead and dig into those axles.
So our new little pet project is off to the side, and it's in a bunch of pieces and parts. That's a good thing because that means there's work getting done, right? Now the engine is out, the front axle assembly is up here, this is coming together. Now our buddy told us he was having some issues with the front end. He said, I'm going through lockers like crazy, I'm just grenading these things. So hopefully we can get into the guts of this and figure out what the problem was.
Yeah, we want to make sure we've got one that we can work with. If not, we know what the fix is. Now this housing itself, we're not going to use any of it, but we like to try and use the axles and the gear and all that stuff. So first thing we need to do is get the axles out of the way. Before you get to the axles, you got to start by taking these calipers off. You know, they just bolted onto here. Then you've got your rotors and hat, and they just slid off of here. That's pretty straightforward. One thing's a little tricky, like Matt's getting on that side, is you've got to get these little bitty bolts and nuts on the back side, the 4 of them, to get this unit bearing here out of the way. Now, what you've got to do is line it up and pull, and hopefully this should come out pretty easily. You should be able to take a look at that axle. Side there. And this should just slide right out. And then we can take a look at the spines. These seem to look pretty good, actually. What about your side?
Now mine's not coming out so easily, but we'll work it out a little bit. There, look at that.
There's a little bit of shavings on here.
There's some gunk in there, huh? We need to get into the guts and see if we can find out the root to that.
All right, with Matt out of the way, now we can have a little bit of fun and pull out this rear gear. Now we got the axles out of the way. That was cool. The splines look good on both sides. The only downside was on Matt's side, you see the spline here has got a lot of metal shavings right through there. So that's usually a sign we've got a problem inside. Now we need to dig in and find out what it is. Now this can be a bit cumbersome to get off these gears. We've already gone ahead and taken all the bolts off and got all the silicone out of the way. And sometimes they go good, sometimes not so good. So you just got to have a little bit of patience with it. Come on here. Here we go. Aha. Now at first glance with the gear out, you're like, wow, it looks okay, all the teeth are there. But you take a deeper look and you can see that they are just wore out on just about every one of them as you spin this thing around. So that's not a good sign. Then you dip your finger inside the oil here and you can see that there are some bigger shavings all inside the rear end housing. So what we need to do now is go ahead and disassemble the locker and find out where all these shavings are coming from. So now we've got it stripped down to the essentials. This is the locker portion here. And well, at first glance, you can see there's a bunch of metal inside of here. The reason why is, well, this is now 2 gears. It used to be 1. It literally split right in half right there. So that's not a good thing. You can take it a little bit deeper. You can see that this side is okay in comparison wise. So what must have happened is they must have got a side load on one of the axles. Now that's the only thing that could cause something like this. And this takes a beating, these lockers. So it's something that's not very common. What could happen is, if you look at the housing itself, it's got actually a pretty good bend to it. When that happens, the axle, believe it or not, will put a side load on this gear. Now, no matter how strong this gear is, after time, by it being side loaded, it's going to want to wear through it, and this is exactly what's going to happen. So it's no wonder this guy keeps breaking these things. So we'll have to go ahead and basically scrap pretty much all the internals of this thing. The axles look to be good. It might not be the right length. We can use this housing, but other than that, this is pretty much junk. Well, I'm, as usual, have to clean up the mess while Matt goes and plays in the lab. Why don't you guys check him out?
Today's assignment is Rain-X Original Glass Treatment, what it does and how it works. You know the deal with if you're out there driving in a rainstorm and you haven't changed your wipers in a while and you haven't used Rain-X, the water's sticking to the windshield, you can't see a thing, and all you're doing is hoping that rain's gonna stop so you can get home safely. With a little bit of Rain-X right there, those days are over and it's one less thing you've got to worry about. If you've applied it before, you know how easy it goes on. You just spray a little bit into a towel like this, and then you'll actually rub it on. We're gonna use this little piece of glass, and we're gonna treat this side that I'm treating right now, and we're gonna leave this side alone. It's actually gonna be a nice little example of how this Rain-X works. Now, I've already treated this side once because you wanna treat it one time, let it get up, haze up a little bit, and then rub that off, and then you wanna do it again. You wanna be better safe than sorry. So here we go. So we'll get this, and then we'll be able to take a look at this. Now, you may not realize this, but the way the Rain-X actually works is glass is porous, which means there's a bunch of little holes in there. It doesn't look like it, but they're there. And you can tell when you spray on some water, like we're gonna do right now. You spray that, and you look at it just rolling off. The water over here is hanging on. It's not going anywhere. You can't see through it. And like we said, you just want that rain to end. But over here, it's good and clear. So we also talked about the porous nature of this, and we can actually take a look at this scientifically. Since we're in a lab, we might as well do a little experiment, right? So we'll dry this off, and we'll actually put some more water on there and show you about the way that it's all porous. So let me reach in here and grab some of this. Ah, yes, that's nice. That's nice. Okay. What I want to show you here is the fact that the size of the drops makes all the difference in the world. And you can see how this is really spread out and gotten thin, and it's in a lot of the pores. This has stayed nice and compact, and it's sitting up on top of the glass. And then when you pick this up, you can really see the magic. I mean, look at that. It just rolls completely off. This trickles off, it gets caught in more pores, and it's just making more of a mess on your windshield. The Rain-X rolls right off, and you are seeing good and clear all the way home. So that's Rain-X. That's how easy it is. That's how it works. And this assignment is done. Welcome back to TruckU. Now here's something cool. This is the Master Lock Personal Safe and push-to-lock receiver lock. And there's a couple different things going on right here.
The way this works is a two-part system, really. It's first is your receiver lock, so that'll slide through like that. And then you've got the end cap here, and it's nice, it's got a positive engagement. You'll hear it click, and you'll be able to feel it click, so you know that your trailer is going to be secure to your vehicle. The other part is the little safe that comes into play. And that's nice because it's got a 4-digit little code on the front, pushes in, locks, and it's got a nice little weatherproof casing around it, and that'll slide right on the pin here, and that'll lock in place as well. So it's kind of a 2-in-1, and it's really nice because you don't have to worry about somebody, taking your wallet or your keys, or you're just losing them out in the water.
The best part about it is, that's what it looks like hanging there with the lock on the end. Nobody's even going to know what it is, and if they do and they try to get in there, they're not going to be able to do that either because it's a Master Lock product. So you slip that out there, and you can keep your hotel room keys and your wad of cash right in there. It's all ones, though. That's a little disappointing, but nobody else is going to get it, and that's what it's all about. It's the Master Lock Personal Safe and Push-to-Lock Receiver Lock. This battery tender 2-bank system is great for the guy that's got multiple toys in the garage because keeping your batteries charged and maintained is very, very important. And if you've got multiple toys, you used to need multiple chargers, right? Well, you don't need that anymore because with the battery tender system, it's like having 2 battery tenders in one.
And this one's great because it's extremely small and convenient. It only weighs less than 3 pounds, so you can be mounted anywhere where these little tabs here, so it can hang from the wall or hang from the ceiling. You get the optional 25-foot cords that'll go to it, and it's like you got your own little charging station in your garage. Really cool, and it's also the international version, so go anywhere in the world with it.
Yeah, it works on all of your AGM, your sealed, and your flooded batteries, and of course, like all battery tender products, it's spark-proof and it has reverse polarity protection. It's the battery tender 2-bank charger from Deltran. These are 2 different wheel arch molding kits that LMC Truck has to offer, and they've got a bunch of them, and these are nice. You see a lot of trucks going down the road with some arch molding like that, and you might look at that and say, man, that looks good, but I wonder how much of a hassle it was to put on. Well, with LMC Truck, there's no hassle at all.
Yeah, these are pre-cut, no hassle installation. They're ready to go on when you get them in their factory form for your specific vehicle. So all you have to do is you get one of these things in the mail, you put some double stick 3M tape on the backside and push into place, and that is it. It's done. It's got a nice clear coat finish on this Mylar, and it'll stay looking good for a long period of time. Give you a whole new look to your truck again.
LMC Truck has these great catalogs for Ford, Chevy, and Dodge trucks. These catalogs go back all the way to the 40s for some of these trucks. Right. It's crazy, and they've got every part you could imagine. It's really nice and easy to order. 1-800 number, the website. They've got all the detailed part numbers and instructions. It doesn't get any easier. Now here's an interesting little idea. It's the Z-Cal's magnetic toolkit, and what it is, it's a toolbox labeling system using stickers and magnets, and this is a nice little idea.
It's a great way to find your tools fast. It's all about getting organized and having your toolbox organized. You don't know sometimes where the wrenches and the screwdrivers, they all get mixed up, and then every time you're doing a job, it takes you twice as long because you got to go and find the tools. This comes really handy too if you're, let's say, trapped underneath the vehicle working or underneath the hood, and you yell for your buddy to, can you hand me the screwdriver? Well, it takes them sometimes 10 minutes to find the screwdrivers. This way, they know where everything's at. It just makes your life a little bit easier, being more organized.
You pick up one of these kits, and it's got either 70 magnets or 70 decals in there of the most commonly used tools, so you can label that thing, and like you said, bring some organization into your toolbox, and that is a good deal right there. It's the Z-Cal's Magnetic Toolkit Toolbox Labeling System.
For more information on anything you've seen on today's show, check out speedtv.com or visit our website at truckutv.com.
I don't know about you, Bruno, but I almost feel like we've been had. You know, today with this new donor vehicle and our new little project here, the name of the game was let's rip it all apart and find out how much stuff we can reuse and how much we're gonna have to scrap, right? I don't know, maybe what, 90-10? I don't know. We're not using too much of this stuff anymore, but that's all right.
No, the donor vehicles ended up us donating a lot of time and not getting a whole lot in return. You know, we got a set of axles out of the front, and that's really about it. But at least the guy was up front with us and told us there's some problems up there. But he also told us there's some stuff back here we can keep, like this fuel cell and a bunch of other stuff.
Well, the shocks are good. We're going to reuse those. And he did. He gave us the ironclad guarantee. He said that rear end is good. That must be pretty new. So we're going to take his word for it. He doesn't lie to us much. So we'll go with that. So those, we have a couple things. And the fuel cell, we'll be able to reuse that as well. So that's good.
Now, we're talking about the fuel cell. That comes with our question for the Ask the Host section of our website. You guys write into us, and we answer on the air what we can. And today, Steve writes in and says he's got a problem. Speaking of his fuel cell, he put a new one in his vehicle, and the check engine light's come on ever since. What do you think's going on here?
Well, he probably had to unplug the little wire that came back to it when he switched it out, when he took the old one out and put the new one in. There may not be a plug for that. The easiest way to do that is take that wire, snip it, and connect the two together. And basically, that'll complete the circuit and fool the system, because you're actually, when you put something new into the system, you know, you're injecting something foreign into the system. It may not like it. So just trick it, and it's done. And the light goes out. You're good.
Yeah, you know, that light is pretty sensitive, too. I mean, just with your regular passenger vehicle, if you fill up and you forget to tighten your cap all the way down, it'll sense it. It'll actually send a warning signal to your engine computer. And then not only do you have to just simply tighten the cap, but you've got to go get your computer reset. So just something to keep in mind with you guys at home. If you have an issue where that warning light comes on, it could be just as simple as tightening your fuel cap.
Ah, the joy of new vehicles, right? Isn't technology wonderful?
It's wonderful, I'll tell you that.
All right, that's all the time we have today. We're going to keep ripping this apart and maybe find something else we can use. We'll see you guys next time right here on TruckU.
See ya.
All right, dude.